Hey, African American history. It's me, Ms. DeVos over here, giving you the rundown for today, Thursday, May 21st. Seniors' last days are today and tomorrow. So this is the last day for you seniors for the A schedule, for the odd numbers. So seniors, it's your last day in African American history. That's my frown for that. I will give a little shout out to you, but first I had to make you listen to this essay that I'm going to read aloud, okay? So I'm going to read aloud this essay. It's called The Idea of America by Nicole Hannah Jones. And this is the New York Times Magazine put together this thing called the 1619 Project this past year, and a lot of different creative writing and essays and poems and historical artifacts, things for African American history. So I thought I would include this one for our class. So I'm going to read it to you. You have a PDF of this. It's called The Idea of America. There's a PDF in Google Classroom. So if you're seeing this video, obviously you saw the PDF of this too. So I thought I'd read it out loud, and you can follow along if you want to. You know, if not, whatever you want to do. Then there's an exit ticket. And then one of the questions on the exit ticket, I believe, asks you to look at some of the words in the Declaration of Independence, okay? So let's think about that too. And think about what the author is referring to in this paper and what you've been learning more about recent history, and especially everything you learned in 13th. I keep thinking of slavery, Jim Crow, convict leasing, 13th, that similar narrative runs through that. So, okay. So follow along if you want to. If you're reading on your own, you don't do it, you could fast forward past this part. My feelings will be hurt. All right, so this is an excerpt from The Idea of America by Nicole Hannah Jones. My dad always flew an American flag in our front yard. The blue paint on our two-story house was perennially chipping. The fence, or the rail by the stairs, or the front door existed in a perpetual state of disrepair. But that flag always flew pristine. Our corner lot, which had been redlined by the federal government, was along the river that divided the black side from the white side of our Iowa town. At the edge of our lawn, high on an aluminum pole, soared the flag, which my dad would replace as soon as it showed the slightest tatter. So when I was young, that flag outside our home never made sense to me. How could this Black man, having seen firsthand the way his country abused Black Americans, how he refused to treat us as full citizens, proudly fly its banner? I didn't understand his patriotism. It deeply embarrassed me. I had been taught in school through cultural osmosis, like that the flag wasn't really ours, that our history as a people began with enslavement, and that we had contributed little to this great nation. It seemed that the closest thing Black Americans could have to cultural pride was to be found in our vague connection to Africa, a place we had never been. That my dad felt so much honor in being an American felt like a marker of his degradation, his acceptance of our subordination. Like most young people, I thought I understood so much, when in fact I understood so little. My father knew exactly what he was doing when he raised that flag. He knew that our people's contributions to building the richest and most powerful nation in the world were indelible, that the United States simply would not exist without us. In August 1619, just 12 years after the English settled Jamestown, Virginia, 1 year before the Puritans landed at Plymouth Rock, and some 157 years before the English colonists even decided they wanted to form their own country, the Jamestown colonists bought 20 to 30 enslaved Africans from English pirates. The pirates had stolen them from a Portuguese slave ship that had forcibly taken them from what is now the country of Angola. Those men and women who came ashore on that August day were the beginning of American slavery. They were among the 12.5 million Africans who would be kidnapped from their homes and brought in chains across the Atlantic Ocean in the largest forced migration in human history until the Second World War. Almost 2 million did not survive the grueling journey, known as the Middle Passage. Before the abolishment of the international slave trade, 400,000 enslaved Africans would be sold into America. Those individuals and their descendants transformed the lands to which they'd been brought into some of the most successful colonies in the British Empire. Through backbreaking labor, they cleared the land across the southeast. They taught the colonists to grow rice. They grew and picked the cotton that at the height of slavery was the nation's most valuable commodity, accounting for half of all American exports and 66% of the world's supply. They built the plantations of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison, sprawling properties that today attract thousands of visitors from across the globe, captivated by the history of the world's greatest democracy. They laid the foundations of the White House and the Capitol, even placing with their unfree hands the Statue of Freedom atop the Capitol dome. They lugged the heavy wooden tracks of the railroads that crisscrossed the South and that helped take the cotton they picked to the northern textile mills, fueling the Industrial Revolution. They built vast fortunes for white people, North and South. At one time, the second richest man in the nation was a Rhode Island slave trader. Profits from Black people's stolen labor helped the young nation pay off its war debts and finance some of our most prestigious universities. It was the relentless buying, selling, insuring, and financing of their bodies and the products of their labor that made Wall Street a thriving banking, insurance, and trading sector, and New York City the financial capital of the world. But it would be historically inaccurate to reduce the contributions of Black people to the vast material wealth created by our bondage. Black Americans have also been and continue to be foundational to the idea of American freedom. More than any other group in this country's history, we have served generation after generation in an overlooked but vital role. It is we who have been the perfecters of this democracy. The United States is a nation founded on both an ideal and a lie. Our Declaration of Independence, signed on July 4th, 1776, proclaims that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. But the white men who drafted those words did not believe them to be true for the hundreds of thousands of Black people in their midst. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness did not apply to fully 1/5 of the country. Yet despite being violently denied the freedom and justice promised to all, Black Americans believe fervently in the American creed. Through centuries of Black resistance and protest, we have helped the country live up to its founding ideals. And not only for ourselves, Black rights struggles paved the way for every other rights struggle, including women's and gay rights, immigrant and disability rights. Without the idealistic, strenuous, and patriotic efforts of Black Americans, our democracy today would most likely look very different. It might not be a democracy at all. My father knew what it would take me years to understand, that the year 1619 is as important to the American story as 1776. That Black Americans, as much as those men cast in alabaster in the nation's capital, are this nation's true founding fathers, and that no people has a greater claim to that flag than us. I love that. I love that. I think it's extremely powerful. I hope I didn't read it too quickly for you. You can always listen to this over again, follow along, look at the words, highlight things as well. But again, that idea that not only by their enforced labor, providing the Industrial Revolution, cash crops, all of that free labor, but also the resistance, the movements before the civil rights movements, all the different movements before that to get the right to vote, to get freedom. The persistence of standing up for what democracy really is, and how much our country owes that to the African American population, paving the way. So I think that's fascinating. I learned a lot from it too the first time I read it. So I appreciate that. I hope you do too. All right, class of 2020. This really sucks. I wish I were there in person. You know, I'm a hugger. I'd hug all of you, or shake hands if you didn't want to have a hug. I get that too. But you know, everyone keeps saying the same things, right? It's a challenging time. No one expected this to happen. It's unfair, and all that's true. You've worked really hard to get to this point, right? High school is not for the weak. It's not easy. Not just the homework and the getting up every day and going to classes every day and the uniform and the lanyard and all that other stuff, the social parts of it too, the drama with that, the disappointments and the highs and the lows of being in different activities or sports teams. I think about a gentleman on the basketball team and getting ready to go to state and having that taken away from you. Lots of things this year have been, and you know that. You know that more than I do. I just want you to know I see that, and I feel for you. I'm really sorry this is going down this way. Selfishly, I feel like, man, I had this opportunity to have this class with this amazing group of people that I could talk to and I could learn from, and we can go on this journey together. And like I said, selfishly, I feel like, hey, I missed out on that. This online thing I'm trying, you know, and I know there's a lot of teachers inundating you with Google Meets and stuff like that, and so trying to dial that back a little bit too. But part of being a teacher is being with you. That's the main part, right? The main part is watching you grow and encouraging you. So thank you. Thank you for being there for me for that part of the job. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to know you all as well as I wanted to. I was looking forward to. But let's see. So we salute you, seniors. Kenna and Aldo and Curtis and Amari and Ina and Peter and Andrew and Jacob, Max, Josh, Jakai, Grimali, Anna, Maddie, Raheem, Chris, and Will. You did it. It may not feel like it. It may feel kind of anticlimactic, but you did it. Congratulations. The future looks bright because of you. Delivering Last Suppers on Friday. Maybe I'll see one of you. Thanks for being a part of CDH and making it what it is. Take care. Stay in touch. Bye.